Well, hello and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I undertook the biggest of missions and we're going to be time traveling all the way through 2023. So grab a cup of tea or an glacier of wine, don't know if I'm pronouncing that nicely, and take a seat as we head back to April. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you like everything that goes down in this video, then please give me a little thumbs up. Hey Google, what's the weather like?
Right now in Amsterdam it's 13 degrees and partly cloudy. Today it will be rainy, with a forecast high of 15 and a low of 7.
Maybe I put this back. We are currently around 4.5 months away from our wedding, and I've decided to come up with this great idea to bake my own wedding cake. That's right, you heard me. I want to attempt to bake my own 2-tiered wedding cake. Let's begin with a bit of a story time while I head out to go and find some palette knives, which is one of the things that I'm going to be needing for this attempt. Let's go. In June last year, my now fiance proposed to me in Valencia, Spain. While we were packing, it was something that I thought, maybe this is going to be the moment. But there'd been many times before where, like, whenever he'd put on a collared shirt, I'd be like, is this it? On the morning when he popped the question, we woke up really early, which is not unusual for us. Matt asked me to join him for a walk, which again was nothing out of the blue for us, and he wanted to bring his camera to take some pictures, which while you're on holiday is not a weird thing to do. So off we go to explore Valencia, and we land up in this really beautiful park, and he set up the camera and we took a couple of shots together, and then he set up the camera again and he set it to video without me knowing. Then he walked back on over to me, and in that moment I knew, because he looked at me the way that he'd never really looked at me before, and I was like, uh-oh. Yeah, Donnie got onto one knee and it was really special, and it was just the two of us and it was perfect. Story break, because we are here. Papoose, papoose. If I were a palette knife, where would I be? Found them. So shortly after the proposal, wedding planning kicked in, and we all know who to turn to for this. Good old Pinterest. The wedding venue has been booked. I said yes to the dress, Matt said yes to the suit. We did a food tasting in December at our venue, and the food is going to be outrageously delicious. The invitations are out, but we still have a small wall of to-dos filled with sticky notes, and the wedding cake is one of them. Because I've been the victim of way too many cake flops and recipes gone wrong, I knew that I was going to have to start this well in advance. Matt has had to pull me off the kitchen floor way too many times in absolute tears, and so we needed to avoid that at all costs, especially the week before the wedding. As I mentioned earlier, wall of post-it notes. Now, there's a couple of steps we're going to have to establish. Number one, I had to find a cake that I absolutely fell in love with. Number two, I needed to figure out the tools needed. Then I needed to find some decent online stores for these tools. Select the flavors, practice, practice, practice. Ensure that everything is then packed properly for South Africa, and absolutely nail it. That doesn't sound too difficult, right? There are so many beautiful designs to choose from. At one stage I was thinking, because we immigrated from South Africa to the Netherlands, maybe it could be nice to do something with a Delft design. But then the one day I was casually scrolling and I came across the most beautiful cake design. Let me show you. This design is actually taken from a bakery in California called Lila Cake Shop. I didn't have ambitions of making it 3 tiers because I knew we would also have a dessert menu, so I thought 2 would be enough of a challenge. The next 2 steps include figuring out and gathering the tools that I'm going to need for all of the techniques in this cake. Let me show you what I bought. I got a foam pad, some brushes, a brand new cake scraper, a new cake leveler, icing sugar just to try a different brand because icing sugar in the Netherlands is weird, edible glue, my first modeling tool, gum paste, gold luster. Next up, we needed to select those cake flavors. So as you can tell, based on what I'm wearing, we've time traveled forward 2 months, and it's currently summer. It is 26 degrees today. Over the past 2 months, we went to Prague, we went to Greece. So wedding planning kind of just fell away a little bit, but I'm back. And today I'm on a mission to decide which cake flavors we're actually going to pick for this cake. Throwback to COVID times when I was baking a lot, I bought some recipes from Sweet Lionheart, which is this really wonderful bakery down in Cape Town. Funnily enough, I've never actually tried one of their cakes, but I've tried their recipes, and their recipes are simply chef's kiss. The first recipe that I'm going to try today is one that I was actually super eager to try in South Africa, but I could never get my hand on these freeze-dried raspberries, and these are pretty readily available in the Netherlands. So first recipe we're trying today is pistachio nut cake, raspberry cake, and then we're going to marble them. We've got a lot of baking to do, so let's get started. Pistachio cake batter, done. Raspberry cake batter, done. Then it was time to marble the two. Swirl, swirl, swirl. Popping the raspberry pistachio cake in the oven, and on we move to cake flavor number 2, hazelnut. Beginning by roasty toasting and blitzing up them hazelnuts. The third flavor we were picking between was one I've made many times, and so that's why I actually didn't make it on this day. It was my good old carrot cake, which has received all the compliments in the past. Am I the only one who finds peeling the baking paper off the best part ever? Time for the hazelnut cake to head into the oven. I then proceeded with practicing the Swiss meringue buttercream. The stuff takes forever to make.
2,000 years later.
You don't understand the drama I've had with Swiss meringue buttercream in the past, so the relief that it worked out perfectly was real. Cake number 2 has just come out the oven. It smells so good. I made a whole bunch of different colored buttercreams, so Matt and I are busy practicing our palette knife skills.
How hard can it be?
It's not that difficult. Hey? No, sure, you did that really quickly as well. Yesterday was a really busy day. I want to progress with practicing some of my icing techniques because I made all of the colors last night. Okay, well, I'm definitely done for this weekend. It's been a hell of a lot of hours in the kitchen. I'm very happy with the techniques and everything that we've learned. I've tested out these colors, which this is not what it will look like on the day. I need to buy a brown for the branches, so we just use the terracotta for today. I've learned a lot. With this, we need to start from the top and work down so that the bottom layers can cover the top pieces. Coloring this gum paste is really easy, so that's good. I'm super happy with the progress that we've made. I think that we'll be able to choose a cake flavor. We're gonna take some cake with us this afternoon for our friends to try. So it's all coming together. I'm so excited. So yeah, that is it for this weekend, and I think that next time you will be seeing us in South Africa, which is pretty freaking wild. We went to have a braai with our friends so that we could cool off in the water. And yes, my friends are savages and proceeded to do their taste test right from the middle of the cake. And then it was August and it was time for us to head to South Africa. We've made it to Joburg, and as you can see, I've got both of our cakes over here. Nat has been amazing with helping me get this all together. Literally couldn't have done it without him. And now we are going to try and tier them. So this is actually one of the most scary parts. We've just also driven an hour and a half to get here on gravel roads in Alice. Got some icing here. Let's see how this goes. Right. Now, I need a little bit of a real moment with you. The week leading up to the wedding was hectic. Planning a wedding from abroad is not easy, and I 10 out of 10 do not recommend. I am fully aware that this sounds like first world problems, but I spent literal hours in beauty appointments. I needed to do my hair trial, and then my makeup trial was all the way out in Pretoria. I also wanted to get my hair colored because it's a fraction of the cost compared to Amsterdam. I wanted to find my wedding band. I know that I left this until the last minute, but as you can see, I didn't manage to find one. My dad also came at me with something pretty unanticipated, which added a whole extra layer of stress, and it was quite uncool and infuriating. But there was just a lot to be squashed into this whole period. From trying to see high school friends to celebrating Matt's mom's birthday in advance. We also had our bachelor's, bachelorette, I had a challah bake, and I also had a little exclusive brunch with my bridesmaid. And of course I wanted to do it all. Why, you may ask? Well, because I didn't know when next I would be heading back to South Africa. And each one of these little social interactions was basically a pocket of happiness with my most special people. The cake took approximately 16 hours to complete. And I don't really think that people understood how big of a deal it was to me. Maybe after this video they will. But I swear, I was like, if one more person tells me not to sweat the small stuff, I'm gonna just To you, maybe your wedding cake was not a big deal, but to me this was something I put a lot of effort into, a lot of planning, and it was just something that I wanted to do. The hardest part with the cake was actually tearing it. Everything else went super smoothly, but I think that from the car drive through to Pretoria, the frosting started to break down a little bit, which meant that the colors weren't really matching. And that is literally the only thing that I would mark us down for. I think that we did a pretty immaculate job. I also thought it might be interesting to consider the cost of this cake. So I did some vague maths. I say vague because I didn't necessarily calculate the exact volumes of things that were used. So for example, the food coloring alone cost around 780 Rand or like 39 euros, which was a lot of money, but I calculated the full bottle just to make it easier. As you could see, there were a number of new things that I needed to purchase to make this cake a success. The total landed up coming to around 3,300 Rand, which is equivalent to around 165 euros. I was not necessarily doing this for the money saving aspect, it was purely because I wanted to and it was important to me. Now I'm about to pull out the cheese, so excuse me for a while. In the end, despite the chaos, the stress, and the unexpected challenges, I wouldn't change a thing. Making this cake, pouring my heart and my soul into it, was an absolute labor of love. It's a symbol of my journey, from a little girl growing up in her grandma's kitchen nook learning how to bake, to a bride embarking on a new chapter of life. As I sit here today with my now husband just down the hall, watching this video of us about to cut into this cake, surrounded by friends and family who mean the absolute world to us, I can't help but smile. So, thank you for watching, and until next time.